Welcome back to the Deep Dive series where each and every episode we take a look at a different NFL team and come up with a realistic outcome and prediction for them going into the 2022 NFL season. Today we talk about the Saints. I'm actually very excited about this one. But remember, at the end of this Deep Dive series, we're going to wrap it up with a beautiful 2023 NFL mock draft based on the order from these predictions. And I said it, we're looking at the Saints. I guess I should introduce myself first, right? What's crackalackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So the beard's coming back nicely. So let's go ahead, take a look at the roster, which means we're taking a look at the offense first. And let's go over to this because there's a few changes. Now you got Dennis Allen as the coach, though he's been a long time coordinator with the squad. And now Pete Carmichael steps in as OC for this squad. No longer is there a Sean Payton calling the plays. Though with Carmichael, he's been the right hand for Sean Payton since 2009. He's been with the team since 2006. We're going to see a lot of continuity with this offense, or at least I believe. And you know what? When Carmichael has been asked to come and step up and play calling, he's done a pretty darn good job of that. He had to do it in 2011, 2012, and 2016. And each time the offense was at least a top three, at least in terms of yards, yards that they created, I guess is the best way to put it. But yes, there's going to be a lot of continuity. I don't think we're going to see too many large differences or changes to the scheme schematically. For all intents and purposes, has been a team that really likes a balanced attack with the run and the pass. Right now, the biggest question I have with this squad, outside of the impending suspension of Alvin Kamara, which is looking like about 6 games, though there hasn't been like a finalization on what the suspension is going to be. But for all intents and purposes, sounds like it'll be a 6-game suspension if they drop it. But the biggest question for me is this offensive line. So let's go ahead and look into it, because they did lose a big chunk, a big piece of the pie in Terron Armstead. He is now a Miami Dolphin. Fins up, baby. Fins up. I love it. But they will, I guess, opt to replace him with Trevor Penning. Potentially, I don't think it's a shoo-in that he starts, though he's very capable to really start at either guard spot, or you could start immediately at left tackle. He's going to be an immediate plus in the run game. My questions come from, okay, well, how will he adjust as a pass protector? That's an area I thought he's a bit raw in. When it comes to, like, the dude's got obviously the build, he's got the athleticism. It's just a lot of his movements were very purposeless. There are times I just see him dancing for no reason, looking for no one to guard. But they also have James Hurst back there, who actually played pretty all right when Armstead went down. And that's the thing, Armstead, I can't remember last time he had a fully healthy season. And you know what? James Hurst did look good in relief. So if they want to go with James Hurst and maybe opt to put Penning at one of the guard spots, where probably Pete, Audris Pete, who is one of the most overpaid guys, was one of the most overpaid guards in the league. There's been talk about moving him maybe back to one of the tackle spots, but obviously you got Penning as the future. James Hurst looked good last year, and Ryan Ramczyk, who might be the best right tackle in all of football. So it's not like he will be starting at either of those spots, but I think it's just good if he's not in the starting lineup. Eric McCoy, very capable to play either guard spot, is your center, though. I kind of like the idea of maybe moving Cesar Ruiz back to center where he played in at Michigan, because he has struggled. He's, for all intents and purposes, he's been on the struggle bus when it comes to the right guard position. So maybe you make that switch. I think Eric McCoy is very capable at guard as well. The dude's just great. But in terms of what else they have on the bench there, you got Forrest Lamp, who's just, at this point, just kind of depth. You don't want this guy started. Calvin Throckmorton, when called upon, has never really been that good in the NFL, so he's really just depth. Landon Young was a cat that they got last year out of Kentucky. There ain't a lot to get excited about when it comes to this bench. Really, it's just, oh man, James Hurst, I don't mind him starting. So honestly, moving Trevor Penning to left guard, I think is ideal because he's got it as a run blocker. He's got the size. He's got the nasty demeanor you want. That's why he was so highly drafted, even though he might not be a complete prospect just yet or a complete player just yet. So if you want James Hurst to go ahead and be the left tackle, you could put Penning at left guard, and I think moving Pete as a depth guy, I love it. I'm loving it. When it comes to the playmakers, they have added playmakers. Golly, in the form of Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry. I like them drafting Chris Olave, and I love the move to pick up Jarvis Landry. Landry, very at his best when he's in the slot, but is not shy. Can play on the outside if you want him to. He did that both for the Dolphins and for the Browns. But Chris Olave, another guy that's very flexible, can play in the slot, can play on the outside. Probably he was one of the best route runners in this past draft class, and they get paired along with Michael Thomas, who's a very good possession guy. Obviously, you got Marquez Callaway, who's a very good deep threat. Deontay Hardy? I thought it was Deontay Harris. Did he have a name change recently? Or am I just silly? Okay, he did change his name. This is Deontay Harris. He changed it to Hardy to respect his stepfather on Christmas Day last year. Aww. That warms my heart. I didn't know that. So, much respect to Deontay's stepfather. We're going to call you Deontay Hardy. My boy. My wife, she has a great stepfather, so much respect to the stepfathers out there. So he's another guy that's more of a special teamer, but he does offer that nice vertical slot. Traquan Smith, never really able to, everyone thought he would be that wide receiver too at some given point, never really emerged as that, but he does got quicks, good size, but good vertical ability. But yeah, I like him better as the depth on this team. Just looking at something real quick. Okay, yeah, I thought so. They bring in Kevin White. That's cool. Probably won't make the squad. Kawan Baker was a guy that I like that they drafted in the 7th round a year ago out of Southern Alabama, who's got great size, good vertical ability. Probably won't make the team though. If they keep 6, it's Smith, it's Hardy, it's Callaway, along with obviously Thomas, Olave, and Landry. Interesting name to watch out. Dejon Dixon out of Nicholls State. There we go. Not a lot of speed, just a big body contested catch guy. But watch for him. Even Aesop Winston Jr., who was a very good slot player out of Washington State a few years ago. So they added some playmakers. I think the cool thing is they list Taysom Hill as a tight end. Thank goodness you're paying him. Get your money's worth, boo-boo, because he ain't your quarterback. But it looks like Adam Troutman will be the tight end 1 for this squad, which I'm fine with. I like him out of Dayton. Seeing him get more playing time, I like it. So, yay. Nick Vanette is a very good depth piece. They moved Jawan Johnson, I think, a year ago from receiver to tight end. He might make the team as a 4th tight end. They got Lucas Kroll, who honestly maybe tested out great, but you couldn't tell by watching his tape. He is a very like plotted type of tight end, so I'll be surprised if he makes the squad. And I mean, if we're going to talk about playmakers in the pass game, you got to talk about Alvin Kamara, even though he will be serving that suspension. Like, what he offers, a guy that can line up outside in the slot, is a phenomenal receiving threat. Even Dwayne Washington comes in, and when Kamara serves suspension, Dwayne Washington's a very good receiving threat out of the backfield as well, so I expect him to fully make the team. Mark Ingram back here with the squad. I like it. He's going to be the power back here. I think an interesting name to watch make the squad is the UDFA out of Baylor and Abram Smith, a very good all-around player, all-around running back, really shined at the Senior Bowl. So I would really like to see him make the squad over a guy maybe like Tony Jones. So yeah, they got weapons. Can Jameis Winston stay healthy? He was very capable. Before he got hurt, he looked good. I think they were like 5-1, 5-2 with him under center. They bring in Andy Dalton as a backup. I'm cool with that. I think he's a solid backup. Ian, the more we don't see an Ian Book, the better. Like, I wasn't that high on Ian Book, and they kind of burnt a 4th round pick on said Ian Book. So I'm very encouraged about the offense. I'm kind of curious to see what they do with the offensive line. Like, really, Eric McCoy and Ryan Ramczyk are the only guys I feel like you can trust. I like the idea of having James Hurst start at least at left tackle and put Trevor Penning at left guard. That way you get Andreas Pete out of the lineup. He just hasn't been that good. A very overpaid individual offense. On the up and up. I hope Jameis Winston can stay healthy. I'm excited. I can see why this team said, hey, we think we have a bit of a Super Bowl window. So we're gonna go and we're just gonna load this team up offensively to ensure that, hey, we got playmakers. Maybe we bring in some talent on the offensive line. Let's go for it. So yeah, no, good for them. Let's go ahead and take a look at the defense. Keep in mind, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is still Dennis Allen's defense. You got Ryan Nielsen and Chris Richard. But this is Allen's defense. He's been calling the defense since 2015. Nothing about that's going to change. I believe Nielsen is the defensive line coach. I mean, they're both co-defensive coordinators, but I think Nielsen's the defensive line coach and Richard is the defensive backs coach. I could have that flipped, but again, this is Dennis Allen's defense. Let's talk about this defense, because this defense has been very good for the last 5 to 6 years. What Allen likes to do, like, he's been very adaptable when it comes to the times. He noticed that this is becoming more of a passing league, and we need to get pressure on the passer. So he has been he's been more akin to using sub packages more often. He may rarely blitz. I think he was 24th last season in blitz rate, but he uses a lot of stunts. He loves to get pressure on the interior, force quarterbacks outside of the pocket. The Saints, they ran a bunch of quarters and man coverage last season with the addition of the Honey Badger himself. Beautiful addition. He gives you a very capable safety there to replace Malcolm Jenkins, because what Jenkins brought, he was kind of like a dime linebacker, this tight end eraser, and I think the Honey Badger brings the same type of the same thing when it comes to this defense. Marcus May will take on Marcus Williams' role as kind of that deep safety, but keep in mind, this is a team that likes to go to sub packages, so we're going to see a lot of guys like PJ Williams kind of be the deep safety there on dime packages. So yeah, this defense, it's got a ton of depth, and it should be as dangerous as ever. It should be dangerous as years past. Let's, I guess, kind of go into some of the players on here. Their best player, at least for me, dude, Cameron Jordan. Cam Jordan's probably one of my favorite players in the NFL. His Twitter game is, and he's pretty darn good on the field. 13 sacks last year if you include the playoffs, 51 pressures. Marcus Davenport came in like a house on fire after being a little banged up and ended the year with 9 sacks, 42 pressures. If that guy gets a full year, like, the dude can be dominant. This is like low-key one of the most underrated and scary duos in the NFL in the form of Marcus Davenport and Cameron Jordan. Those guys are very good when it comes to the depth that they have there. They bring in Taco Charlton. That's kind of like whatever. Peyton Turner is a guy that has inside flexibility, though I believe he only played about 300 snaps last year. Where are you, Peyton Turner? No, even less. A little under 150, but like, he looked all right. And yeah, do we see more of them this year? We may not. They actually like to go more to their interior depth a bit more often than not, as they got a really good cat in David Ayamada. I'm terrible with names, so if I butchered that, my bad. Shy Tuttle, he's also been fairly solid. They have Malcolm Roach, who they drafted a couple of years ago, I guess that he was a UDFA out of Texas. Jaleel Johnson, I think, is a good pickup. So is Kentavious Street, who, when called upon as a 49er, he showed, hey, I ain't bad. I ain't half bad. Jordan Jackson is a very interesting project they bring in out of Air Force. A lot of upside, just needs a lot of refinement to his game. So, yeah, they got some capable pieces, but I mean, it doesn't look like this is a team that will be willing to sub in a lot. But they got guys that can definitely prove themselves if granted a bit of playing time. Keep in mind, this is a squad that also likes to blitz. Their blitz their linebackers or bring their linebackers in with pressure. They did it with Pete Warner and Demario Davis quite a bit. Demario Davis had 18 pressures, 3 sacks last year. And then Pete Warner, keep in mind, this cat only saw less than 400 snaps. Going to be the starter this year. But I expect some big things from him. They're probably going to like him coming off the edge occasionally. And, I mean, the dude's got a wonderful skill set. They bring in a DeMarco Jackson who comes downhill with the head of steam and can hit like a brick. Zach Bond has some experience as a former edge player they're out of Wisconsin. Eric Wilson's a good depth piece. Like, they got good depth there at linebacker. Even Nefi Sewell, coming out of Utah as a UDFA, boasts some good explosiveness in his own right. But yeah, no, Demario Davis, he's been a very good linebacker for the past couple of years. Bit of a late bloomer in his career, but the guy has been good. I didn't really mention Carl Granderson, who's actually been pretty solid when called upon. He's been basically the rotation guy there at edge. But I like their front seven. They got a lot of very good playmakers, and it just gets better when you go to the secondary. You got, obviously, Marshawn Lattimore, who people think he's a lot more hit and miss, but I think he's been very good the past few seasons. He's been very consistent. Opposite of him is probably going to be Paulson Adebo, who they drafted at the 3rd round in the 2021 draft out of Stanford, who produced pretty good last year when called upon. Where's your snap total, my friend? I mean, the dude played a ton of snaps last year. So, yeah, that kind of pushes Bradley Roby as a depth piece, but a guy you're going to probably bring in on dime packages because he's better. I think he's been at his best when inside, playing like a nickel or dime role. So he's going to be doing that with CJ Gardner-Johnson. Is it CJ? I always thought it was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Maybe it is. But, yeah, no, it is. Now he goes by CJ. Whew. Okay. But, yeah, no. You got CJ Gardner Johnson there, who's been just fantastic. Also, another one of my favorite players, a guy that really just gets in the head of opposing receivers. Looking more at the depth, they add Alontae Taylor, who's a guy that's very versatile. He can play outside, he can play in the slot, he could even play one of the safety roles. That was one of my favorite picks. I think I had him as a 3rd round projection, but I got no problem with them picking him up in the in the 2nd round. Bryce Thompson was UDFA out of Tennessee a year ago. He's fine, a bit speedy, but DeMarcus Fields is a cat I really like as an addition as a UDFA. Bit of a long shot to make the squad, but watch out for that guy. He was very productive throughout his career. And then they bring in Daniel Sorensen. Hey, dude, I hope he doesn't see the field. I'm just going to say that. I really hope he doesn't see the field. JT Gray's a very good special teamer. Smoke Monday as a UDFA. Yo, watch out. This guy, another guy that comes downhill with a head of steam. Just didn't have a very good... didn't have a very good pre-draft process, and it resulted in him being a UDFA. Same with Vincent Gray. I don't think that cat makes the team. I didn't like him that much as a prospect. I get it. The guy tests out well. Comes from Michigan, where he played a lot of press man, but I don't think he never played that well. He was known for getting blown up, so probably don't want that guy on that roster. But when you got a guy like Bradley Roby on the bench, like, you feel like, hey, we're in a good place when it comes to our secondary. Like, I love the addition of Marcus May. Like, Marcus Williams, big hit, but Marcus May will definitely alleviate some of that. He's been very good there for the Jets. Add in Tyrann Mathieu, big get. It'll be interesting to see how they use him as this versatile piece, because you can even say the same thing about Marcus May. He is a very versatile piece in that secondary. And then you got a guy like Alontae Taylor, who could kind of like play everywhere on the field. PJ Williams, who's just a very good sub-package player. Like, this defense, hey, running back, they're going to be great. This team, I think, is going to be very good. So let's go ahead to my projected starters. And when I do this based on who's going to see the field the most. It's not going to be based on your base formations. I only care about who's going to see the field, who are going to be your snap count leaders. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the offense. Jameis Winston hopefully can stay healthy, but what we saw last year was very promising. Alvin Kamara, even with the 6-game suspension, the dude's going to see a load of time. Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and then Jarvis Landry in the slot with Adam Troutman there at tight end. When it comes to the line, man, I really hope that James Hurst gets to go at left tackle and they have Pennant at left guard. But I don't think that might be very likely, as they've given Andreas Pete more chances than he deserves. But Trevor Pennant, I got Pete, I got McCoy at center, Ruiz at right guard, and Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle. Flipping into the defense, Cameron Jordan, Marcus Davenport, Shai Tuttle, and David Ayamada. And then a linebacker, Demario Davis, Pete Werner. And then at corner, you got Marcus Lattimore, you got Paulson Adebo. In the slot, you got Chauncey or CJ, Gardner Johnson, Marcus May, and the Honey Badger himself, Tyrann Mathieu, there at safety. So a very good looking bunch going into this year. When it comes to my predictions, I have the Saints at a nice healthy 10-7. I got them very good against bad teams, and then so against winning teams. I still think, for all intents and purposes, despite the Saints running roughshod over the Bucks when it is during the season, because we know that don't happen in the playoffs, I still think they probably fall short of the Bucks in the division, though I do believe I have them sweeping the Bucks. Yeah, I have them sweeping the Bucks, because, hey, man, Dennis Allen, man, he's got Tom Brady's number, I guess. I got them sweeping the Bucks. I got them going 6-0 in the division. So, hey, a lot of high hopes with these Saints. It just, their other 4 wins, Like, I just don't have them winning many games outside out of the division. Because okay, let's go through it game by game. Got them starting the year off 3-0, and then losing to the Vikings. That's gonna be a good Vikings squad. So there ain't no shame in that. Beating the Seahawks, losing to Joe Burrow as he returns once again to the Superdome. Got him losing to the Cardinals. Remember, this is the first week with D-Hop back, so I imagine that's going to be a Cardinals win. Beating the Saints, losing to the Ravens. That's a good Ravens squad. Beating the Steelers, losing to the Rams. The Rams are just a very good team as well. Losing to the Niners, and then beating the Bucks before their bye. And then having the late season bye might be very helpful. I got them going 3-1 after the bye, with their only loss to the Cleveland Browns, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to predict what the Cleveland Browns will look like, but you know that team will at least be competitive regardless of who's at quarterback, as long as they can stay healthy. But I got them beating them. But 10-7 ends up being the final record for them. I like this team a lot. I think they can have a nice playoff run. I mean, for all we saw with Jameis Winston last year, I still have the question, is this something he can do for the whole year? As we know, Jameis, he's a guy that'll throw as many picks as interceptions. Is that something that will change? Though the sample size we saw last year was positive, is it something we'll see throughout the whole season? I'm excited to see that. I still think the Saints, Buco, like, very good team. If I was doing power rankings, because remember, I do this series not based on power rankings, but where they fall in the draft order. If I was doing power rankings, this is a top 10 team. But you let me know in the comment section below. We'll have the mock tomorrow, and then we'll start with number 11 on Monday when it comes to the deep dive series. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.